it while you're in the middle of it. Few of us do. But there's something about the revelation of what God is doing when you walk out of the trial and you're victorious. That's why tonight I want to say that that's why the title of my message is so important. It's shattered. Right? Shaken but not shattered. You can be shaken. How many have ever been in a place so far in your walk with God that your faith has been shaken? You had faith that God could do anything. You said it a million times. My God can do anything. Until you get in the midst of the trial. And then all of a sudden your faith is shaken. But it's a different thing from being shaken and shattered. I can be shaken, but I can't allow myself to be shattered. I can't allow myself to stay where I'm at. Even then, when in the midst of the trial, in the midst of my hurt and pain, I can't stay there. I have to get up and move forward. Amen. Because that's the whole thing that he's trying to teach us is when you go through something, don't just stay in your pity. Don't stay where you're at. Don't stay in your emotional state of depression and the things that try to bind you. That's what it's trying to do. That trial is to prove you. Are you going to stay the course? Are you going to stay through the hard times? Or are you here just only for the good times? Bruised but not broken. I can be bruised in my leg and still walk. But if I break a bone in my leg, I'm not walking very far. See, the devil's not going to break a bone in your body. He's going to bruise you. He's going to try everything he can to break you. But as long as you're walking with Jesus, I can get bruised, I can get knocked around, I can even get knocked down, but I get back up again. And I keep going on because Jesus is taking me through the fire and he's taking me through the water and he's going to bring me to a wealthy place. Amen. Is that I can be battered and bruised and still be victorious. Jesus. I can still have hurts and pains and come out the other side and say, Jesus, heal me. And he's faithful. The last thing he said, thou just bring us to a wealthy place. We have nothing to fear. And you know that saying says nothing to fear but fear itself. No, I have nothing to fear. Because ultimately, my hand is in the hand of the Master. My life is in his hands. I don't need to fear what trials and troubles and hurts come my way. But one thing I've got to do is learn to have a spirit of forgiveness. Sometimes, I've said it even in preaching, it's sometimes harder to forgive ourselves than it is to forgive other people. But there's also times that there's wounds that are deep within us that we forget that they're there, but they're there. Until you touch them just right, you don't even know that they exist. But then when you touch them just right, you can feel that pain. And that's where we find, when you find that place emotionally, that's where you have to ask that person who did that to you to forgive you. Jeez. Even though you weren't the one that did them wrong. You didn't do anything, they did it to you. But you have to forgive them. Because that spirit of forgiveness, when it gets a hold of you, liberates you.
That's right.
You're no longer bound by the pain. You're no longer bound by the disappointments. You're no longer bound by those things anymore. You're victorious. And then those wounds, those bruises, those places that you just don't want to mess with can actually be healed and bring forth a victory. See, so tonight I may be shaken and I may be bruised. But really I'm shaken, but I'm shouting. I'm worshiping and lifting up Jesus in the midst of my most difficult times. I may be bruised, but I'm victorious. I'm not going to stay down. I'm not going to let the enemy get me down and keep me down. I'm not going to let those things that have come against me to try to destroy me succeed. Because I have a promise that I am an overcomer. That I am victorious through him. He's already paid the price for what I am going to suffer. He's already paid the ultimate price that I could have victory and that I could have peace, that I could have joy, that I could have all of the promises that he has given. I may be troubled, but I'm not depressed. I may not know what to do next, but I'm not in despair. I may be persecuted, but I'm never forsaken. I may be knocked down, but I'm never destroyed. I may be afflicted, but it's just for a moment. Psalms 30 says, I will extol thee, O Lord, for thou hast lifted me up, and hast not made my foes to rejoice over me. Jesus. O Lord my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me. O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave, and thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth for a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. The musicians will come. It says that in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Lord, by thy favor thou hast made my mountain to stand strong. Thou didst hide thy face, and I was troubled. I cried to thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise thee? Shall it declare thy truth? Hear, O Lord, and have mercy upon me, Lord. Be thou my helper. Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth, and thou hast girded me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praise to thee, and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks unto thee forever. For when I'm weak, he is strong. The Bible says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Don't let the troubles get so big that you forget how big God is. Don't ever let your pain and disappointments get to a point that you forget whose child you are. You're the child of the King. You're the child of the God that holds the waters of the earth in the center of his hand. We don't serve just any God. We serve the one and only true God. But in the midst of your storm, in the midst of your hurt, don't let it get you to a point where you don't let those things heal in your life. Let God take the pain. Let God heal the wounds. Let God do the work that you've been trying to do all along. And be victorious. It's going to happen. You're going to get bruised in this walk with God. You're going to get shaken in this walk with God. But just like my dad was right beside me on the bike, and he was holding that bike up, and as long as he was holding on to that bike, I was okay. But then he had to let me go. Let me go do what I'm going to do. It's just, he watched me and waited for when I fell. And he was there to pick me up when I fell. Our God is always with us. He said he would never leave us nor forsake us. I wish I could have preached a little more, but go get you to jump on the pew and scream and yell. But tonight in my study, and I just felt a heaviness, but in a good way. Does that make sense? I felt just like somebody needed to hear that it's okay. It's okay to have disappointments. Doesn't mean it should happen. It's okay to have hurts. Doesn't mean it's right. But in our lives it's going to happen. But take those things. Give them to Jesus. Let him heal them. And then use them to help somebody else. Because God's going to put somebody in your path, I promise you, that has gone through these things. And they're going to be hurting. And they're going to be trying to find something to take the pain.